Hi class, my name is Jill Madsen and I am back with another activities video. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through 4 activities on pages 114 to 117 of the Practical Critical Thinking. I've already completed the activities ahead of time, so I'm going to focus on explaining the steps that I took and the thought processes involved, the reasonings behind my conclusions. I'm hoping to keep this video between 10 and 12 minutes long. Before we get started, I just want to kind of get you in the mindset. Have you ever completed one of those visual puzzles where you have to put the illustration close to your nose and then you slowly pull the illustration away from your nose or your nose away from it without losing focus with your eyes, and then whatever image is supposed to appear if you do it correctly? That's kind of the mind frame I had to go into these next activities with. For the first activity on page 114, I take notes in my margins, and it's just something that I do that helps me retain, and when something resonates with me, I'm able to keep that top of mind awareness when I do take a note. So the first activity is going to be using neutral language. This is going to be one of 4 and 4.7 individual activities. This first activity, the objective was to restate each argument using natural language and keep the same meaning. And we weren't supposed to worry about if this was a good argument or not. So an example of the first one is, here's the first argument statement. It says, "Those disgusting, horrid video games cause an increase in violent behavior of our young people. It's this barbaric behavior that leads to murder and mayhem. I say we should ban children under the age of 18 from buying or playing these wretched video games." First and foremost, you can tell there are a lot of emotional words in here. This is an emotionally charged statement, and the evidence behind that would be words like disgusting, horrid, barbaric behavior, wretched video games. So the argument here that I came up with is that video games are linked to an increased violence in youth. Because of this behavior, purchasing or playing them should be banned until the age of 18. I did not use any judgmental words in here. I just restated the argument without any emotionally charged words. The value claim here is keeping people safe is more important than minors playing certain video games. The way that we find our value claims is by several different processes. Value claims are those judgment claims about someone or something. They are statements that are good or bad or moral or immoral, and they could be better or worse. If neutral words are used, they really don't make you feel one way or another. They're just that, neutral. So it's important that we use neutral language when we are presenting an argument. The next activity is on page 115, testing for ambiguity and vagueness. That also is something else where I find myself in my coaching world or in my teaching world. I need to be more specific and not vague. When I give an example of go hit the ball off the tee and you're going to load, I need to give them specific increments of how many swings I want them to take, or how many ground balls I want them to take at this station, rather than just say, go over there and do this. That would really eliminate vagueness in my coaching. In my teaching, I am very specific when I tell them how many sentences I want per paragraph, or how many slides they need to make, or what we're looking for, how many reasons, or how many facts can you find me regarding a certain topic. This assignment here, 4.7 individual activities, number 2. We need to decide if there's a problem in the following statements or headlines, and if there is, then we need to indicate whether the problem in each statement, headline, or ad is due to ambiguity or being vague, and then identify the problem word or phrase. So the first one here, 2A, says, a majority of the 270 electoral votes is required to elect the President of the United States of America. I did not find a problem in that. My reasoning behind that and the evidence is that that is a fact. 270 votes are the number of votes required. It is the quote-unquote magic number. Our next question, 2B, says, everyone in Congress is rich. My choices are no problem, problem, ambiguity, or vague. I chose there's a problem with this. The word that I have a problem with is rich. What constitutes being rich? What is the specific amount that constitute being rich? The next one, 2C, is a headline. It says, USPS post 5 billion loss. I said there was no problem because it clearly states the amount of the loss, unless we want to get more specific and ask them to specifically state what the loss was. 5D is kind of a funny one. It's a headline. 2D is a funny one. It's a headline that says, lack of brains hinders research. I put down ambiguity on this one because of the phrase lack of brains. We are not meaning that the person does not have any brains. We're saying that there's a lack of brains that's holding up the research. An example of something that is vague would be number 2F. The problem states, I think that Maria spends an excessive amount of time texting her friends. I put down that that was a vague statement. And my reasoning is, what is the excessive amount of time? We didn't state an amount. So what qualifies as excessive? The third activity is on page 116, and it is titled Headlines. We are supposed to provide 2 alternate meanings for each headline, and then choose the one that I think is most probable and explain why. So the first one says, lawyers back despite use of bug spray. Well, I made 2 choices, and I have lawyers are back at work after using bug spray, or the lawyers are back after the spray being used at their work site. I would think that my second choice is most probable, and that the work site was sprayed for insects or bugs. That's the most probable explanation. There was a total of 2 problems like this. And the very next activity is going to be activity number 4, name the doublespeak, where we had to state whether it was euphemism, jargon, or inflated language. And I enjoyed it because I didn't realize how much inflated language we use and how much we try to speak in jargon, but not everybody can, because it is for a specialized group of professionals. And there's so many times often in our lives that we don't practice euphemism and we just blurt out the non-politically correct or the rude way of saying things. So it was interesting to go through this activity and I enjoyed it. Let's go with the first one. 4A says, teachers are classroom facilitators. So what are my choices? Euphemism, jargon, or inflated language. I went ahead and went with inflated language because teachers, they are the facilitators. That's just a blown up name for us teachers, to me. 4B, in every war, there is considerable collateral damage. We went ahead and went with the euphemism because it's a clinical term to, soften a harsh reality of collateral damage, and collateral damage probably meaning deaths. So we went through an example of 4A through F to finish up all the activities on pages 114 through 117. Thank you for listening to my second activities video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon. Have a good evening.